We're back, guys. And this is actually a preseason episode. And I just wanted to welcome you back. We're going into our fourth season, and I had several other things planned for this season, but we had so much going on during the month of January and February, and especially going through the Super Bowl weekend and the Grammys and everything, uh, and those are inconsequential, uh, really, to what I wanted to talk about. That is why I'm doing a preseason episode now. Um, first of all, let's talk about the Super Bowl. Super Bowl Sunday. In my opinion, it was pretty much a average game. It really was. To me, it was an average game. It was meh at best, and I'm talking from start to finish. And I'll also include the halftime show. The halftime show, in my opinion, was not the best, and it certainly wasn't the worst. Certainly wasn't the worst. And I'm not going to be bashing on Rihanna. I think she did a fine job. To be honest with you, I didn't watch the halftime show in real time. I watched it on Monday, National Super Bowl Hangover Day. I watched the replays after seeing, oh my God, so much hoopla about her performance and the lip syncing and this and that and everything else. But let me tell you something. First of all, let me tell you something. It really wasn't that bad. It as far as Super Bowl halftime performances go, it certainly wasn't that bad. Uh, I, I've seen lots of Super Bowl halftime shows, and honestly, I'm not the guy to ask about halftime show performances because that's not why I watch the game. I watch it for the game. I, I just do. And usually I would say that a lot of the people during the halftime show, they're making a beeline over to the kitchen to get some more chicken wings and beer. To be honest with you, now I do know that there are a lot of people that they watch the Super Bowl just to get the halftime show, and there's a lot of people that tune in to watch all the really cool commercials because advertising companies, they put on some really usually good commercials. Of course, there was that He Gets Us commercial that but I mean, oh my God, they spent millions of dollars on that when they could have spent it on something else, right? But you're talking about spending anywhere from $7 to $12 million or even more per 30 seconds for an advertising spot. And usually Anheuser-Busch is the winner. Usually. I mean, they usually, crank out a really good ad, Well, Rihanna on Monday morning, Monday all throughout the day and continuing on, she's getting more airtime. She's getting more press than the NFL is. She's getting more press than the actual game is getting. And isn't that the point with an entertainer? What entertainer doesn't want free press? And she's getting tons of it, millions of dollars worth of free press. Now, a lot of people say, well, there was no new material. Okay, well, sure. I get that. There was no new material. But I'll guarantee you, now that all of this is in the press, people are looking at Rihanna and looking her up and looking into her, fashion designs, her cosmetic line, which she actually, kind of, product placement in the show. She did that. And then you got the evangelical Christian right that were now kind of queuing her up to be like Sam Smith in his Grammy performance, which is getting some flack from the Christian right, complaints with the FCC, and they're talking about fining him about, the unholy and, satanic messages that was, he was doing. I don't get that. I recently made some comments about some of his dress, some of the clothing that he wears, but I'm going to regress. I'm going to retract some of that and say that I went back and I listened to some of his material, and you gotta hand it to the guy. He's really a pretty darn good male vocalist, and over the last few years, arguably, he has kind of ramped it up a bit, and now he's they and them, so they have ramped it up quite a bit, gotten a little bit more, not over the line. I'm not going to say over the line, but then pushing the envelope with his clothing and his material and that kind of thing. And now they're saying, his Grammy performance, and he was, the satanic verses, I guess. and they're comparing his performance to Rihanna's, that they were both pushing satanic messages. Come on. Entertainers are always going to push the envelope. They're always going to push the envelope. Always. I mean, even that blow up suit, that vinyl suit that Sam Smith wore, well, hell, that's been tried before. Not kind of like the one he wore, but David Bowie wore some crazy suits. I mean, you're going way back. I mean, think about the big hair bands and the stuff they wore, in the 80s. I mean, entertainers are going to push the envelope, especially when they're in the public eye and when they're in front of the camera. They're going to do that for the shock value and, for what people are going to say the next day and get some more free press. That's what they're looking for. That really is. And that's a good business move, actually, for entertainers. And for the most part, guarantee you, on Monday morning, those guys are sitting around in their chalet, wherever, California, New York, Florida, sitting on the beach in their short pants and their, flip-flops. And, I mean, most of them are just like you and I. They really are. And they do that stuff for the shock value, and they get the free press, and just leave them the fuck alone. That's my take on it. And it, hey, for the most part, it's just a damn halftime show. Forget about it. The Grammys, it's just a show. Forget about it. Most of those people, they lobby to be there at the Grammys. There's money spent. So. I don't think that, people need to be putting so much salt into this. Just, get over it and move on to the next big thing. Now, that we just moved past Valentine's Day, and I really hope everybody had a fantastic Valentine's Day. I really do. And for those single folks out there that don't have a partner at home, I hope you had a superb, special Single Adults Awareness Day. Yes, there is such a thing. Yeah. That's what I did. I just set my happy ass at the house and watched some TV and had me a good dinner. And it was fine with me, I've been single for a long time, and I'm fine with it. When Miss Right comes along, she comes along, and so be it. Now, let's talk about some of the other things that are more important, I think, in what's going on right now. And it's the mass shootings that are happening in the United States in 2023. So far, according to the Gun Violence Archive, gva.com, they're saying, now, there's some varying numbers. There's one alliance that is saying that have been 61 to 63 mass shootings, and then there's another that says there's like 81 mass shootings as of February the 14th. I will say that either variance of that number going forward is too many. On the 14th, Valentine's Day, in Sweetwater, Tennessee, in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and in Buffalo, New York. All of those on the 14th. Again, there is some variance on what people may think, a definition. What is a mass shooting? And so that goes back and forth. Anytime there's more than 3 people killed, or there's more than 3 or 4 or 5 people injured, that's considered a mass shooting. Now, I know that we have some huge mass shootings in the United States, and that's not to be discounted, but when it comes to defining what a mass shooting is, it's usually someone goes in a room, slings a bunch of bullets, and a whole bunch of people are hit. That's pretty much the loose leaf answer for that. So on the 13th, we had East Lansing, Michigan, of course. 4 people killed, 5 people injured. We had Peterson, New Jersey on the 13th. On the 12th, it was Louisville, Mississippi on the 10th. Brooklyn, New York. Bronx. And on the 8th, there was 2 more. There was one in North Carolina, one in Louisiana, and one in North Carolina again in a different city, Elizabeth City. Then we go to the 6th, and so on and so forth, and so on and so forth. And it just goes on and on and on. And it's actually, it's very disturbing that we think about the fact that we have so many mass shootings in this country, more mass shootings than there are calendar days in the year. We already have way more percentage-wise than we have in the past years. Way more. Okay? It's already gone up. It's already gone up. And that's just ridiculous. And I don't know what we're going to do about that. Activism, of course, and we can't let off on that. We can't, back off on our activism and trying to, get, legislation for gun control. And, of course, Ron DeSantis in the state of Florida wants to have open carry without licensure or permits. Well, there are, I believe, 8 states in the country that already have that, but they're not Florida. Florida has a whole lot of Florida man in it. And you know what I mean. There's a lot of racism down here. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on. DeSantis is about the most racist governor I could ever imagine. If you haven't been following that nut job, you will know what I'm talking about. Banning books and banning AP studies on African American history, and the list goes on and on with that guy. Pandering to his base. He's MAGA. He's Trump's mini-me, only a little worse. Yeah. So, again, since we're doing a preseason, doing an update, and these are topics that we're going to talk about throughout the season, the next one I want to talk about is the brutal beating of Tyree Nichols. The police officers pulled him over. It was a traffic violation, so they said. And the dispatcher asked them what was the violation, what'd you get pulled over, and then the communication stopped. Okay, so who knows what was going on there? We don't know. We don't know really, and now the sketchy details are coming out. There's all kinds of rumors about Nichols was involved with one of the cops, Haley, his ex-wife. They worked together at the FedEx building and blah, blah, blah. And that's been, so far as I could tell, has been debunked. So, don't take me at salt for that. But if that is true, they definitely targeted the man, and that's premeditated murder. They, at least murder in the second degree. They beat the man. to a pulp, and it's on video. Not only their officers' webcams, but someone else was filming it too. And then they dismissed some of the emergency medical technicians that were on the spot and didn't do anything. And of course, young Tyree died in the hospital from his injuries. They beat the shit out of him. And I watched the videos over and over and over. And some people say, well, I'm not going to, I just can't watch the videos. I can't watch them. I can't watch them. Well, I think maybe it's a good idea that most people do watch them, especially white people. Granted, those were black officers that beat the shit out of him, and he was a black man. But this just goes to escalate the problem of not all. Now, I'm not gonna jump on the bandwagon of saying that all cops are bad or all police officers, are animals like that, or they're gonna pull out their guns and just start shooting and shooting and shooting. But in this case, watching the videos, they beat the shit out of that guy and just kept beating him and kept beating him and kept tasing him and kept spraying him in the face with pepper spray. The man was suffering. Why the hell do you think he ran? He ran because he was scared for his fucking life. Okay? He ran because he was scared for his fucking life. That's all there is to it. There's no other way to look at it. Well, we're going to close out this preseason episode by telling you that I'm going to stay on top of all these stories and more. I'm going to talk some more about some entertainment coming up in the next episode. In the next episode, I'm going to also look at some arts that are happening in the United States, but in Jacksonville, Duval County. It's Black History Month, so we want to look at some of the books that are being banned. We want to talk to some of the people that are trying to make sure that these books don't get banned. I've been talking to some of the educators in the area about their feelings of having their school books pulled from their classrooms and pulled from their libraries, and how DeSantis is trying to deflect that and make it sound like it's just a bunch of hogwash, and everybody's full of shit and they're overreacting. Well, that's hogwash in itself. In and of itself, that's freaking hogwash. He is he's a racist. He's a bigot. Sure, he's an educated man. Sure, he was in the military. Sure, he's got credence. Sure he does. That doesn't mean he can't be a racist asshole, because that's exactly what he is. I get it with the book banning thing about as far as if you want to say certain material is inappropriate for elementary school children, I get that. I totally get that. Okay, you want to ban some stuff from elementary school or keep it away from them. I get that. Most of this stuff is coming. They're talking about in the AP classes. That's junior high, man. That's kids are a little older and a little smarter. They've already been on the internet. They've already been on the internet. They've already been on social media. They have seen a lot of stuff. So it should be in their educational curriculum to learn the facts, of real history. Things that books that they should be reading. Like Stephen King had said, if you find out books that are being banned, you get your ass up and you go to your nearest library and you pick out the books that they banned and read them to see what the hell they don't want you to learn. I mean, that's it in a nutshell. And yes, they're going to come after the public libraries next. You watch. If they want to take it out of the public schools, whether it be elementary school or high school or what have you, eventually they're going to come for the public libraries. They are going to come for the public libraries. You watch. It's like the book burnings. The goddamn Nazis I can't believe it. I can't believe it. They want to keep the populace uneducated. They want to take away women's rights. They want to take away voters' rights. I'm talking about the GOP and Ron DeSantis, of course. Let's take away the right for people to mail in ballots, right? Let's take away their rights to mail in ballots. Let's take away their rights to have a fair and open election. Let's take away their rights to be able to get to a polling place should they not be able to vote ahead of time. Not everybody can vote early. They should be able to, in my opinion. You can try, okay? You got a lot of early voting sites, opportunities, mail-in ballots. Please, 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 if you know you can't get there on Tuesday, the morning of the vote, mail it in. I have been mailing in my ballot for years and years and years, and you can check it online, and mine has always been counted. I've never missed a vote by mail. Never. It's always been counted within 7 to 10 days. So why is that so hard? Please, please take advantage of it. If you know you can't get off work on Tuesday to go vote, the Tuesday of, which, for God's sakes, most people can't. If you know you can't, mail it in. Go early. Early voting sites are open on most weekends. They're all over the counties. They're everywhere. Fill in your ballot. Go drop it in the box. Vote. Vote. You have to vote these assholes out. They're going to take away our freedoms. They're going to ruin this goddamn country. I'm telling you. I am telling you right now, as sure as I'm sitting here. Well, that's about it for me right now. My closing thoughts are, take care of yourselves and each other. Until next time, peace.